Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you all for joining in. And I'm here today to talk about my going through as being a grieving father, going through my tryouts. Um, it's really difficult. And I want to start off with, telling you how the events unfolded for me and how did I get here. Um, wow. You think it's going to be easy, but it's never easy talking about the loss of anybody, let alone your children. Um, just being out one day, me and my wife, we were out one day. Lovely day it was. Out actually shopping for the house, and got a call and saying that my daughter collapsed and she had a massive asthma attack. Uh, that they were rushing her to the hospital. And that there was one blow to me. Just hearing that she had an asthma attack and that they were rushing her to trauma. Uh, as I proceed to the hospital, hurt and broken, knowing that she's going through something such as can't breathe. I know the feeling because I had asthma when I was a young kid. And to be able to not breathe is something. So I rushed to the hospital. And when I get to the hospital, my father, intuitions, told me something was terribly wrong. I had people rushing me, grabbing me, holding me. And at that time, I knew something wasn't right. And when I entered into the room where she was at, it didn't look right. She had all kind of tubes and everything connected to her, and she wasn't responding. And I talked to her, and I had to sit there and talk to her. And they say, well, they tell you that she probably can hear you. So I talked to my daughter, tell her that I love her, to hang in there. Daddy's here. Daddy's not going to let nothing happen to you. And sometimes we tell people things, our children, whether they can hear you or not, something that you may not can do. And as she laid in the bed and I was saying, baby, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. You're going to come through this. You're going to get through this. God is going to do it. God is going to make a way. God is going to make a way. And as I kneel down at the bedside on my knees, holding her and praying and asking God to save her, to spare her, give her mercy, give her grace. I even said, Lord, trade my life for her life. And as I sat there was no response, neither from the father or my daughter didn't respond. So I was waiting on the doctor to come in because my daughter, she was just there. And this was days on end. I never was getting the response. So when I asked the doctor, I said, what's going on with my daughter? Why she's not responding to anything? And he said, this time she's brain dead, and we're just trying to see if, in fact, that her brain recovers from the trauma that it went through. And I said, well, my God can get my daughter through anything. My God is a healer. My God is everything. So as I laid there with her, praying, crying, the day came where the doctor came in there and said that there was nothing else they can do, that she was brain dead, that she wouldn't be able to recover from that. So I looked up, I looked around, and I said, Lord, where are you? Father, where are you? Lord Jesus, I need you. I have faith. I pray. I serve. I sow. I do everything I can right. This is the time I need you. He didn't show up. God didn't come through for me then. So they had to pull the plug. Worst day in my life. And how was that the worst day in my life? Because I lost my daughter. And the other thing, what made it even worse, is I said, Lord, why have you forsaken me? Where are you? I need you. So there was people saying to me, pray, be strong, hold on. That made me wanted to do it my way. As a grieving father, I want to do things my way now. Why do I want to do things my way? Because when I went to the hospital, I prayed, I fasted, I sacrificed. And I'm saying, Lord, where are you when I need you? Where are you? So now people are gathering around me, telling me to be strong, hang in there. And I'm saying, okay, it's time to do it my way. It's my way now. And why is it my way? Because I felt like God wasn't there for me. So now, as a grieving father, I want to do it my way because I feel like that I can do it. Because I felt like I was let down. And we know how it feels to be let down when you really need something or when you really need a miracle. When God does not respond to your declaration when you really need him. Well, as a grieving father, I said, I have to try to do this on my own now. And I proceeded to try to do it on my own. I became angry. I became disengaged. I didn't care for people. I didn't care for my family. I was isolated. This is me trying to do it on my own. Me taking long rides, saying, why am I still here? This is me doing it on my own. A grieving father trying to do this on his own. Now, I'm not asking the Father to intervene in my life. I'm saying I got this. I was there by the bedside. I was there to cover her. I was there in her last days. I'm going to do this on my own now. Because the Father didn't respond to me when I needed him. So that's when the grieving father that I am, I took it upon myself and I said, now I'm doing this on my own. And when I start doing things on my own, I start getting severely depressed, angry, taking things out on my wife, taking things out on my family, making it seem like it's somebody else's fault. And most importantly, a grieving father blaming God for what happened. And God had nothing to do with it. But that's me as a grieving father saying, and as a man, we're fixers. We always try to fix something. And when we can't fix it, frustration sets in. And see, the man, if we want to go into the Bible, is the head. So when I can't make it right, my outlet is I go to the Father and I say, Lord, I need you. I'm praying, and nights and days and hours, I'm constantly praying. And nothing is happening. So now I feel like a failure. My father is not responding to my declaration. I can't fix it. So I feel useless as a grieving father, needing to get this energy off of me, needing to get this pain off of me. And how do I get this pain that's so bottled up in me? Trying to do it myself. Days, months, now we're into a year, still trying to process this pain that I'm dealing with. Wasn't able to go out to the cemetery with my daughter to lay her to rest. I have not let her go. Till this day, I have not let her go. Almost going into a year now. Now we into a year. I get another call. I'm driving at this point. What are you doing? I'm driving. What's going on? You might need to sit down. I don't like to hear that. What is going on now? What is going on? I want you sitting down when I tell you this. Tell me now. Your son has passed away. Your son's passed away. Grieving father. Not just one death now, but now I'm grieving two. I'm really trying to do this now on my own. Because now I've lost a son now. He collapsed in his sleep. I got to do this on my own. Father, I don't think you're no longer with me no more. I'm alone now. Father, you have left me. The pain that I'm experiencing is it's like no other pain that I've ever felt. But I do want to tell you guys, not all bad. I never gave up on God, though. I wanted to do it on my own. But when I tell you about that mustard seed, it tells you to hold on to what you got. Don't lose it all. Don't lose it all in the process. I held on to that mustard seed because if it had not been for that mustard seed of faith, I wouldn't be here. As I was driving, I started to go faster in my car. My mind is just going everywhere. I can't process anything. Nothing is making sense. I can't put nothing together. No puzzles is lining up. And I'm just out here open, vulnerable. And I'm driving so fast and I just blanked out and I ended up in a fire station. I drove literally unconsciously up into a fire station. And they were looking at me like, what is going on with this guy? And I remember the EMTs that were sitting in there in their unit, and they looked me square in my face, and I looked at them as I really needed help at that time. I needed help. And I drove into there, and when they looked me in my face, they knew that I was in trouble. They didn't know that I was in trouble as far as bleeding out, experiencing some type of trauma to the body. When they looked at me, they knew that I was experiencing trauma in my mind, whether I was crazy, something is going on with this man. And they came over and they immediately just started talking to me. And with talking to them, it really helped me out because one of the EMTs were going through something similar. Not exactly, but she had lost her husband. She had lost her husband due to COVID. And she was talking to me and we were just talking. And I tell you, God is so amazing. The collaboration. And when I started hearing her story about her young daughter not being able to have her father, it brought me, literally in my vehicle to my knees. And I knew that I just wasn't alone. And God put me in that place. And I'm telling you guys this to let you know that when you're in a situation and you're going through something, you're not alone. God is truly amazing to put me in that space to get me right to where I need to be so I could get home. And so I made it home. I let my wife know that I experienced this, that I was up into a fireplace and a firehouse and talking to the EMTs and things like that. And I just want to stress to all of you guys about mental health. I was experiencing a mental health crisis, losing both of my kids, mental health crisis, depression crisis, hopeless, Christless. I couldn't put anything together. I mean, the puzzle in my head was not completed. All the screws was disconnected. I just couldn't put nothing together. And I don't want you guys to be ashamed of when you're going through a mental health crisis or you need help because you're going through something. It's not your fault. And that's what help is for. When you can't figure out how to put the pieces together, how to get yourself back in alignment, you have to seek help. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's something wrong when you don't go get help. That's when you really lose yourself. So even with talking to the EMTs and my wife praying over me and holding me, I still was going through a storm. It was still significant to me. I still isolated myself. The loneliness, saying that I couldn't save them. I couldn't save them. The guilt that you deal with, saying, what could you have done if you were there? As a grieving father, what could I have done? to save my daughter from having an asthma attack, and she was out and about. What could I have done when my son, he woke up and had a severe heart attack? What could I have done? We all hold guilt, even though we're not responsible for what happens. We hold the responsibility because we feel like that we're supposed to be there to protect them, to save them, to cover them, no matter what they go through. And when we can't fulfill that, we feel overwhelming guilt. And I had so much guilt on me. The guilt was like wearing me down. It was like literally melting me. And I went back into another depression. What I've learned is you never can get through grieving. Grieving is a lifetime process. You're going to always grieve the loss. Why? Because I can never replace it. But what you do is you love more. You give yourself to God. You trust God more. Because I've learned that when I tried to do it on my own, I failed even far. I mean, when I looked around, I was so far back than where I was before. I almost lost myself when I tried to do this on my own. I looked around, I'm like, I'm so far from where I used to be. I'm so disengaged. I have zero friends. I don't talk on the phone at all. My wife said I barely interact with her. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me. But I want to tell you this, and I know I'm not alone. When you go through losing your children, you're never the same. You can never be the same person again. I'm not the same person that I used to be. It's not that I can't be better in ways, but I can never be the same. You'll always have something missing from you. So as a grieving father, I had to go back to the cross. I had to repent and say, Lord, I know this wasn't your fault. But I was so vulnerable. I was so hurt. The pain was overwhelming. And who else was I going to take this out on? See, a lot of times what people do that I didn't do is turn to drugs, drinking, smoking, trouble. The thing that I did was isolated myself. I beat myself up. I hurt me. But I want to tell you this, people. When I laid down at the cross, when I repented and say, Lord, I love you. Lord, I trust you. Lord, I can't change nothing. But I want to finish. I want to finish what you have for me, Father. So that you can say, well done, my faithful servant. Because I can't change anything. I can't go back. And that's one thing that we all know and that we try to do is go back. We try to go back. And when I say that people try to go back, they use drugs, alcohol, those kind of things because they try to go back in time to relive and try to change something. But when you come out of it, you're still right where you started it. You cannot go back. There's no turning around. The only thing you have in front of you is your faith. And you got to walk by it. You got to live by it. I went through the storm. had people telling me, and one of those people was my wife. She had to explain to me. She said, husband. I said, yeah. She said, I think you're going through a Job moment. You may not be going through everything Job went through, but you got a lot of similarities to what Job went through. I had a massive heart attack during that process. The stress, the pain. I passed out. If my wife had not got me to the hospital, I would be gone. That's how much pain I was experiencing. And when I got into recovery, they said I had a widowmaker. And at the time, I didn't understand what that was. And he said that you were going to make your wife a widow. That's what you had, a massive heart attack. And I just want to show you guys the pain, the pressure that I was underneath. And I say that because fathers, speak on their behalves now, they don't get the recognition they should get. In crisis, we have to stand tall. We have to take it. We have to be strong. But it's only so much that a man can take. I was at my breaking point. Massive heart attack, stroke. I went through the meals. Not one heart attack, 2 heart attacks, a stroke. I lost my kids. I began to fall behind in my finances, depressed, asking God, what have I done to deserve this? But like I said, I never gave up on God totally. I hung on to that mustard seed of faith. I hung on to it. And one of the things I want to tell you guys, when I say God restored me, and when I say he gave me back double for what I've been went through, even though we can't bring our kids back, we can't bring anybody back. But God has put some amazing kids in my life, an amazing wife, amazing sisters, brother, friends, some family that I thought I didn't have. He restored me. My health, he restored my health. I thank God that I don't look like I had 2 heart attacks. I don't look like a widowmaker. I don't look like a stroke. I don't look like severe depression. I don't look like anxiety. God said, I'm going to bring you back from what you went through. But when I restore you, you have to let the people know. Tell your story. Because you're not the only one that's lost their children. There's other grieving parents, mothers, fathers that don't know how they're going to get through. They've lost all of their faith, lost all hope. Well, I'm here to tell you on today, don't give up on God, because he will never give up on you. That's my saving grace. It's my saving grace. And I'm telling you this because I tried it myself. I tried to get through this process because I know who I am. I know how strong I am. And I said, I can get through this on my own. And I was tested. And through that process, 2 heart attacks, a stroke, passing out, migraine headaches. I couldn't do it by myself. I say, Lord, I need you. I need you, Father. I need you. And he said, I've never left you. You just wanted to do it on your own. You became angry at me. And that's how we are as a people. We get angry at everybody else. But you got to take responsibility on what you're supposed to do. You got to take responsibility on what you're supposed to do. We get angry at everybody else. We take out on everybody else our pain. That's why it says hurt people hurt people. So when you're hurting, you want to transfer that hurt. And I would tell you from my experiences, I said, I want somebody to feel this pain I'm going through. Why? Why do I want you to feel the pain that I'm going through? The reason why I wanted somebody to feel the pain, because nobody understood me. Nobody understood my pain. I'm like, I'm alone. Nobody understand I lose my daughter. I get a call on my daughter. A year later, I get a call on my son. Nobody understand my pain. I want to lash out. Nobody understands me. Nobody feels me. Nobody cares. Nobody loves me. So that's what I begin to act out. And that's what your adversary wants you to think, that nobody cares about you. You only going through this by yourself. You're the only example that went through this. And this is what the adversary wants you to think, that you're going through this by yourself. Nobody ever went through this. But God showed me that I am not alone. And I knew I wasn't alone, but I just overlooked it. My sister, she lost her son. She lost her son. She was a grieving mother. She went through this way before I went through mine. And then when I lost my son, she lost her daughter. So she lost a son and a daughter also. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. But she experienced it before I did. And I had no idea the impact that she was going through. I had no idea what she was feeling. I was there hugging and comforting, but that wasn't enough. I had to she need constantly prayer. She need constantly coverings. When somebody is going through hell, they need coverings. You can't say that, okay, I'm going to pray for you, and then you don't pray, or you pray for somebody, and then you let them go. They need coverings. They need coverings, because the adversary is going to be busy, all in her head, thinking that she's by herself. She's going through. And women are more sensitive than men. And she was really going through. And I had no idea until I went through my loss. And that's why I say people will never understand how you feel until you go through it. And we don't want anybody to go through that type of pain of losing their kids. Nobody should ever go through that, losing their kids. Nobody. Whether you're a woman or a father, you should never have to go through that. That grieving, you would grieve for the rest of your life. But the thing about it is that God will sustain you. He will keep you. And as we know, he would turn that pain into purpose. So how do I get through it as a grieving father? I think about the good in my daughter and my son. And I do good behind that. They smile a lot. They're givers. They always loving on people. And most importantly, how I know them, because they're mine. They're a people person. They love to interact with people. And that is me. So I come here to tell my story, to show you that whatever it is you're going through, whether you're a mother or a father, in your grieving process, that you will be able to get through it. With God, you can do all things through Christ Jesus. He will strengthen you. He will restore you. And he will give you those days that you miss. He's the only one that can restore those days and give you comfort. And for me, he gives me perfect peace. Now, I'll be lying to you if I told you that I don't still go through. I don't have that ability because I'm human. I still grieve to this day. I still mourn to this day. And on next year, I will be releasing my daughter because I have not released her nor my son. And I will be releasing both of them on next year. I will go out to the cemetery, have my time with them, and I will release them to God. Because as I hold on to them, I can never recover the way that I want to recover. And with me releasing them, I would be able to move on and live a prosperous life and to be able to do things really what God wants me to do without having any interference, and know that and trust God and know that God got them. See, that's the thing about it is when you say, well, I'm good and this and that, when you really know and you trust God and say, God got them, they're in a better place, right? We hear that all the time. They're in a better place. They lived a good life. They believed. They were Christians. They loved. They followed the instructions of God. And then when you know that, then why you can't recover and start living a normal life, not a recovering life and forgetting about them, but your life must goes on. It's time to start loving those people around you that you've been neglecting for years. It's time to love them and appreciate them while they're here, because we're all on borrowed time. We all are. There's nothing that we can do. We can't buy time. We can't slow it down. We're just here for a minute at a time. And we're all passing through. And with us passing through, we got to love on each other. We got to really appreciate each other while we're here, because we're just passing through. In the blink of an eye, you're gone. I became angry when life started just going on for everybody after the funeral as a grieving father, and everybody's going back to work and doing things and laughing and enjoying their lives. I was angry. I was an angry man. I'm like, how are these people going back to work? How are these people doing the things that they're doing? And my daughter is gone. My son is gone. But life goes on. Their life must go on. And my life has to go on now. It's time for me to move on. And this here is the process. It's talking about it. I'm stronger. I'm wiser and spiritually strong. I trust God in all I do. So I just want to tell you guys, I thank all of you guys for coming in and being a part of this, and me talking about the grieving father of my two children. They're gone but not forgotten. I love you guys. You guys are my heart. And your father really have you. I was just temporary. Until I see you guys again, God loves you and Daddy loves you too. I love you, babies. So I just want to say thank you all for coming in. The next show is going to be where a grieving son of his mother. I lost my mother at an early age, and I'm going to be talking about my experience with my mother. I lost my mother at 12 years old, and I'm going to be talking about as a grieving son. And I have a lot of different episodes, shows that I'm going to be talking about. The grieving son. It's going to be grieving siblings. It's going to be grieving friends. It's going to be grieving grandmothers. And I'm going to open this up because I've literally lost a lot of people in my life that's very dear and close to me. I had not really had a chance to experience total love from them. So I'm going to be talking about the grieving son from his mother. That show will be airing on next Tuesday. I'll be airing that show. I will be putting up content to keep you guys informed. And I appreciate you guys coming in, and I appreciate you guys sharing the comments, tapping the screen, the gifting, just coming in. And I just want to thank all of you guys so much. And I thank you all too for tuning in and being a part of this. The Grieving Father. Until next time, I'll see you.